Don't worry, Mr. and Mrs. Seller. I've got the perfect buyer for your property waiting on my huge database. It's one of the oldest lines in the real estate playbook, and it's the classic bait. A database seems irresistible to a seller who's struggling to differentiate between agents, traditional agents who more or less are doing the same thing and have only the same tools available to them to get a good result on their listing. That's why digital real estate is a great solution to offer you way more. So how to not get suckered by that database line? Gee, well, let's break it down a little bit. See, the reason why it's such a good bait is because agents are not accountable if the database doesn't get the property sold. So if their only allure is their database, all they have to do is sign you on an exclusive, show a couple people through before the first open home. If none of those people are interested, then what are you left with? You're left with an exclusive campaign with that agent, and you're stuck, you're married to them. So I prefer to think of it a different way, because the database is used as a bit of a myth. You'll have big brands that will say we have offices all over the city, all over the country. That's all these avenues that we can use to get your property sold. When in reality, with the franchise model, two offices in neighboring suburbs will be two different business owners who will actually compete, and they'll compete for the same listing. So they're not going to work together to sell your property. Okay? Myth. Now, on the whiteboard, I've got three main sources of leads to get your property sold. Okay? So agents have access to other buyers that come to them in the area, or come through other listings they might have, and then they can refer on to your listing. Secondly, you have listing portals, so the ads that go up online on property-specific advertising platforms, your realestate.coms, your domains, and that's something all agents have access to, with not much point of difference there. So when I think about a database, I think, well, agents have access to those already, but there's an interesting third one here that most agents won't. They'll focus on baiting you with their database, but they won't actually cultivate this third source of traffic, which is completely untapped. Okay? And that's your non-active buyer. What I mean by non-active are people who might not be going onto those listing portals, and they might not be walking through open homes yet, but they're early and they're thinking, and if they see an ad for a property, they might be convinced. So how do you find non-active buyers? Well, you use platforms where people are just hanging out, platforms that have their attention anyway, before their attention is activated, before it's property specific, before it's, I'm going to go look for a property. That's places like your social medias in this day and age. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube are some of those places. Now, it'd be great if you could advertise on these platforms, and you can. You can run paid targeted ads to find complete strangers, complete cold traffic, who might, if they see an ad for your property, be convinced. So make sure you've got these two covered, but why aren't more traditional agents using this? It's a great question to ask. So when you think about database, think about, yes, we've got these, but what are the new databases that exist online that are a new audience, a new source of people who could be interested in buying my property? How can I get their eyeballs on my listing as well?